we're not working on anything. And like, I was there going, how can I take money off this person? Imposter syndrome comes in. I'm useless. This is terrible, especially me talking about ethics. And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm not being ethical because we're not getting anywhere. The more you feel bad about you in the space, the safer you are because you're so concerned about your client.
Because you care.
Because I care. Yeah. So when I'm beating myself up like that, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like all my insecurities, they're all based around, is the client getting what they need? Yeah. Am I not good enough for them? And it's all about them. So if I didn't have that internal dialogue, then am I actually caring about the client? And there's a kind of a stigma in our profession that we're carers, so we shouldn't charge. We feel that like it's just, but because we care, we should do this for free.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Mental Health Expedition. My name is Pavel and this is the second episode with my guest today, Maria Gleeson. Maria is working as a psychotherapist, clinical supervisor and a lecturer. And if you want to see how she got there, watch the previous episodes. And now, Maria, again, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I want to start by asking you, when you finished the master degree in CPT, what happened then? How did you look at setting up your own practice?
It kind of happened organically while I was doing the masters, purely by accident. Again, a lot of things happened by accident for me. But it was, I was studying the masters. So I'd already done the degree and I'd qualified with that. And then I think CBT was quite a buzz around at the time. So whenever people heard that I was doing this, they were real kind of, oh my God, like I know somebody who needs this or
nice,
whatever. So my first private client, let's say, I wasn't ready. I wasn't looking for clients. I wasn't trying to open a practice. And it was people who I knew were kind of saying, can you see this person? Can you see? So not them specifically. And I was like, I don't have a space. I don't have anything. Like, you know, so like I had the insurance and stuff because I was doing my placement for college. But I was like, I don't have a space. And one of the women was actually my Pilates instructor. Wow. And she wanted me to meet with her daughter who was 17. And there was just anxieties going on. And I was there going, I have nowhere to see her. I can't do this. And she was there going, use my studio.
Nice.
I was there going, okay. So we were like, I used to do classes on a Monday at 6 to 7. And she was there going, straight after class, we'll like put all the mats away as we do anyway. And then she was like, we'll bring in chairs from the hallway and I'll go away for an hour and come back. So I was there going,
that's nice of somebody offering their space.
Yeah. So it was a bit kind of surprising, but I was like, okay, I'll do a favor. Fine. You know, and that's how I looked at it. It was like, I'm doing a favor for someone. And straight up, like I was going, this is me now practicing what I'm learning in college. Like I'm by no means a professional. I'm no means this, no means, you know, so very straightforward with that. But it worked out well. And she came to me for a good while and we worked through a lot. The second one, I'm trying to think where he came from. Can't remember the referral path. But again, when he contacted me, he was like, no, I don't have anywhere to see you. And he was like, I actually don't care if you see me on a bench. I need this, like, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. Look, leave it with me. And this is kind of the funny piece to the practice, but also very encouraging, I hope, for other therapists who are starting out to showcase it doesn't need to be perfect. The client doesn't care. They really care about being seen and having a space to talk. So we have a family business in Clonmel. So it's a pub. And above the pub, we used to have a B&B. Well, first we used to live there and then it was converted into a B&B when we moved to a different location. Then kind of that business died off. We didn't really put much effort into it. So it wasn't really operating as that anymore.
The B&B, you mean?
The B&B, yeah.
So the pub, I'm sure, has been...
Oh, the pub is crazy. It's jammers. But the B&B part. So like what would have been like the dining room for the B&B became like a storeroom for the pub. So like there was cases of like glasses and, you know, just junk nearly thrown around everywhere. Up there was a couple of chairs, old chairs from the bar. So I just kind of cleared a corner and just said to that person, I was there going, okay, I have somewhere, but it's a mess. I'm warning you, it's above a pub. There's a side entrance, but and it's a storeroom for the world that, you know. And he was there going, fine, don't care, fine. I was there going, okay. And I mean, like, we were literally in a corner and then the rest was just junk everywhere. And it didn't bother him in the slightest. So we did our sessions, that was fine. And then somebody else had looked for something. And like I said to you, I was always seen with my paperwork, like, you know, and I would have had a lot of health issues with my back at the time. So I was constantly in and out of the doctors. And my doctor knows me since, like, you know, I used to go to his father, and then, you know, when his father retired.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So we would have always talked. He was like, what have you got today, Maria? You know, and he knew I was doing the CBT, and most GPs will recommend CBT when people are looking for medication when they're coming in with anxieties to the doctors. So he started referring to me, and I had told him, like, I was there going, look, this is where I'm operating out of, like, it's just above the pub. Yeah. And he was like, oh, I'm not so sure about that. And I was there, I know, but I'm not in a space to rent a property yet. So it's like, I talk to everyone, they all know well in advance, this is where I'm operating out of. So,
but it doesn't really kind of, like, I've been therapist centers above a restaurant.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Like, it's
I suppose it's less private, I suppose, would be the concept. Like, you know, when rather than people might see you coming in and out, but I was like, but they'll never know what anyone's coming in and out for. They could be going into the pub, you know, because you go in the front door and then there was a side entrance. So you go in the front door and then then you go the glass doors to go into the bar were there, but you went right and go up the stairs then. Yeah. What we ended up doing was, my family, we ended up converting a room. So my partner builds kitchen units, so he made me a desk, and, you know, we took out all the stuff, and, like, we created an office for the world at the top of the stairs. It was always a temporary thing. It was always something just to kind of do. And then that started working, and I was still working full time, and I would come in the evenings, similar to yourself, actually. Yeah. So I would finish work at 5, go straight up, clients at 5:30, you know, till whatever. And I was doing that for a while, and college and other placement and everything else. And it just started building and building and building. And I think it's because CBT was such a buzz thing. And, like, you know, I was able to kind of sell myself, you know, promote myself, and kind of let the word be known that this is what I was at. Which
is the major thing where I think therapists might be lacking.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And they don't know where to go or how to go, or they'll just feel lost, or what do I do? Yeah. So I was kind of doing that. But I suppose for me, the pressure wasn't there because I was earning a full-time job. So I wasn't relying on this for, you know, my sole income. I wasn't in that position yet. So then I kind of reduced my work days to 4 and said, right, Fridays now I'm just focusing on my therapy, and I'm going to do that. And I did. And then it changed to, like, 3. No, I looked for 3 days in work, and I was told, no, you're down to 2. So it was a case of, oh, crap. You know, that was a big jump. So I was there going, what do I do now? Do I take that leap of faith and kind of hope that it'll happen? And
I think so many of us are facing at some stage of our lives that decision to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
I would hear therapists who literally said that, look, I just quit and I jumped and I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I just went, oh, do you know what? Like this. And I just went for it. And then, like, because I had done that, I was scrambling then. I was there going, really kind of going, okay, you need to get yourself together. You need to get your name out there. You need to let people know what you do way more than I was. So, like, I made a conscious effort to, like, I got my business cards professionally done. I created an information leaflet.
Information leaflet, nice.
Yeah, about like me, but also what CBT is, what general counselling is, what psychotherapy is, what CBT is, you know, how can it help? And then like I went around to every GP surgery and left those in. I spoke to my own doctor who, you know, already knew me, but he was there going, okay, you're ready to go. So he started referring people. You know, I just created an Instagram page, created a Facebook page, linked stories, every day posted, just random stuff. Then when COVID hit, there was a massive grant with the local enterprise office.
Okay.
Now, they already had this grant in place for companies starting up to get percentage off websites. So I think it was like, maybe they paid 20 or 30% at the time. But because what they were trying to do was get everyone back in working during COVID, it went up to 90% they paid.
Wow, that's
so
lovely.
I got a huge thing. So I got a really good professional website. Now, I'm an organised freak when it comes to things. So like when it came to the website design, I had page 1, tab 1, point 1, you know, and I had it all outlined what I wanted. So when it came to the design, it was quick. Like it was done in a week because he had every bit of information. The only thing that we couldn't decide on was a picture.
Right.
Which is like, I often get asked, you have no picture on your website. And I was there going, yeah, it was just because I got caught in a rock and a hard place. I didn't know what to do, how to do it, what I wanted to portray. And then I just left it, and then it just stayed left.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then it never became a problem. So I just didn't ever go back and address that again. So like a lot of people would say to me now, when people are researching, you know, doing research for therapy, not everyone does that, but those who do, they say they're drawn to my website.
Yeah.
They say it comes across extremely professional. So, and it is because it was done professionally.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't me creating that was somebody else. I think that is a difference of, you know, some of the clients that, you know, you can kind of pull in to your practice. My first advice would say to anybody is have an online presence. It doesn't matter what it is. Like the first thing every single person to this day does is Google.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a framework, people are going to go, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, I'm not sure. I can't picture them. I can't.
And even if it's not a visual picture, where's the background? Where's just, how do I know you are who you say you are, or what you've done, what you've said?
What degrees have you done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would tell anybody, go do a free page as a reference point. You know, like again, tag yourself on Google Maps. You know, that's free to do. You know, put a pin there so that people can see your business. You know, it doesn't cost you a penny to do these things. You know, maybe ask a couple of previous clients for a review. Only one or two. You don't need a million. I think the ones that have too many are a little bit...
I get that, yeah.
I just think sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
You know, one or two is good. It can showcase that, you know, people have left a good comment or whatever. But it doesn't have to be every single client that you've ever had. So just pick one or two so that people can see it. And then it just builds through word of mouth, connections, using your connections. So if you know somebody who works in a hospital, it doesn't matter what their job is in that hospital. Put up a flyer. Get them to put it up on the notice board.
Yeah.
Church notice boards. You don't have to be religious to utilize these things. You don't have to be on the same wavelength as everybody. But, you know, people forget. It was like, oh, but I'd only have friends who'd follow me on social media. I was there going, the amount of people I have met along the way who said, I saw what you posted the other day. I think that's brilliant. And I told my friend about it.
Nice.
So the steps that come through, you know, making those connections.
Yeah.
So like, it's just reaching out absolutely everywhere that you possibly can and getting your name out there and getting people used to hearing about you. And another one was like tagging every other therapist in like Instagram, and they share your stuff. So if they have 5,000 followers, those 5,000 followers see your name. And then suddenly you get a hit of like 30, 40 people.
Nice.
off that. And, we all were doing it for each other, but we were also chatting to each other in the background. You might not get massive referrals from that, but your name is being built. People will remember this is what you do. So you just, and there's loads of things. There's wellness festivals, there's health festivals, there's all these things that are popping up around the place. You put yourself, I haven't done that because thankfully I haven't needed to. I don't want to be in a position where I'm at these things and like people are kind of going, oh, how can I book in? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm full. So, but there is loads of space to do that, to promote yourself and to get connected to the right people, but you have to be patient. It's not going to be built overnight.
How did it evolve for you? Because I guess at the time you were seeking like clients, but also supervisees. Is there a different kind of way how you attract these two groups?
Supervisees are very different in that at the beginning it was a lot through the colleges. So your name goes on a list. And it's approved supervisors lists. And like when students are looking for supervisors, that's where you go. And then look, it's like practice as well. When you're starting out, you go low cost, because you're trying to, get the names, get used to people, get your accreditation status, get all those things, and student rates and all that stuff. With supervision, there was a bit of word of mouth as well with that. So I had a few people who were like, oh, I'm with this supervisor and she gave me this advice or she said this to me or, this is how we connected. And they're going, oh, can you work with that person? And it happened to me recently, like with the lady I work with, and she's a nurse actually, and she started a new role and her co-worker was like, would she take me on? And then she was at a whole conference thing and they were like, would she come on through the HSE as a vendor? So
nice.
No, I don't know if anything will ever come of that, but this is how things...
How the connections are.
Yeah, she was at a meeting and just said something about her supervisor and they were all like, what supervisor? We're not having that. Why aren't we getting supervision? And she was getting me for supervision for her therapy work.
Right.
But now she's swapped jobs and that's going to be part of her job as well. Because I had said to her, check, will they fund this for you? Because you're using it as part of your role.
Yeah.
And so it grows. Everything grows. But you just have to grab the opportunities where you can. And my own supervisor has been great because he's slowing down on a lot of work that he's been doing. So when people contact him, he kind of goes, not for me, but I have the perfect person for you.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then he'll send me a message and he'll go, you're going to get a call from this person.
Yeah.
So, it works out that way. In supervision. So it is word of mouth, it is contacts again, and it is just people searching sometimes, doing the Google, especially with supervision, I think people are way more aware of what they want and what they need.
Tell me more.
So
what would they be looking for? Maybe somebody who is trained in CBT or who... Okay.
Yeah, so I would have people who would specifically look for supervision with me because they say, oh, I've read your profile, I've read your website, and it sounds like very much what I need and what I want. Like I started with a new lady last week, and again, that was exactly how she found me. She did her research and she was saying, how you work and your background sounds identical to what I want and what I need right now. So we're only starting out, that could change, but the more you do it, the more you become connected with what you need. And
it becomes clearer, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of after a while.
Yeah, and some people have more than one supervisor.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, so
what would be the reason?
You could have a supervisor if you're specific to EMDR.
Okay.
You could have a supervisor specific to couples therapy. You could have a supervisor specific to CBT. So different lines of work. I don't do that. I have just one supervisor. But he matches all those cohorts for me though, because not the couples therapy, but I don't do a lot of that work at the minute. So if I was, I would do extra supervision with the lady that I trained with. She was doing a supervision course actually while she was creating her institute for couples therapy.
Nice.
So she's now a qualified supervisor as well.
Wow.
So if I was doing that work more, I would definitely link in with her for that piece. Because my supervisor wouldn't or has never done couples
therapy
work. So that's why
it's
people...
interesting how it's... Yeah, but it kind of makes sense when you explain it.
Yeah, so like, I kind of think people are more aware of what their needs are and how to get what they need.
Yeah.
In that
Which
sense.
is good because if they didn't care, that probably would translate with the clients.
Yeah.
But it looks like they do know what they are looking for, where they need support, where they need some sort of like encouragement.
Yeah, and I think, I'm very lucky that I work with an awful lot of people who value supervision. Like there are a few who, they're ticking a box.
Okay.
And I find that hard, but I also understand it, because I know the headspace where people are just like, oh, just tick the box, get the paperwork done. They're few and far between now, thankfully, I can filter out the people easier now, and because I'm so full, I can kind of go, look, maybe you'd be better with somebody else, because I like the people who value what they get from supervision, and it can be anything, like where I'm not rigid in supervision. It can be every cohort of, your client work, your professional work, as in, the coaching piece nearly of where do we go from here? Like, what is the next step for me? How do I build this? Or, maybe I want something else as well as this. Where do I go? How do I do that? And then, it's also about you. So making sure you're okay.
Yeah.
So some people can just come on and it's nearly like a personal therapy session, but it's not. And they're very aware it's not. As we say, it's okay for 1 or 2 sessions to be all personal, but it can't be every supervision, because at that point you're like, okay, this is personal therapy and you need to bring that to personal therapy, so because it has to encompass the client as well.
Yeah. And the work itself.
Rather
than the personal stuff that probably is coming up, which we are all people anyway.
Yes.
It is important.
And it is, because it's like, if you're not okay, you're not okay with your clients. And that's really important. So like, I have no issue spending sessions with people who are going through something and kind of going, okay. But like, if we're 6 months in and we're still on that, I'm like, oh, where's the supervision?
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to kind of see the difference between supervision and personal therapy, and where's the line. But there is one.
Well, that's kind of what I want to ask you. But let's say if you could maybe outline, what do you think supervision is first, right? And also from the perspective that, let's say some of the viewers and listeners are from United States, right? They are from Germany, they are from different countries where they would have different regulation, different way how they handle supervision, right? How would you talk about supervision? What do we do here in Ireland, actually? What's the regulation and the standard?
Well, regulation is non-existent.
That's also important to mention.
Yeah.
Like UK has it for a while.
Yeah.
And we don't have it still.
But it's on the way.
Yeah, it's been on the way for a while.
No, but like the standards are set now, and they're not going to change.
Okay.
It's been made very clear, so the rollout will be happening. The biggest changes now will be through the colleges, and how they operate. But like the standards are set, and, it is going to be, you need to have a qualification of a level 8 to be a counsellor and a level 9 to be a psychotherapist. In there, nothing is about supervision bar in your course. So it is going to be a difference, but like it'll kind of depend on what the existing accrediting bodies
agree on.
Well, I think they're going to have to manage and change things for themselves, because like, I know we're veering off into a different thing than you asked, but it's accrediting bodies won't have a huge standing once CORU is officially opened
in place. Yeah, the
because
register.
The legal terminology for being a counsellor or psychotherapist will be, are you registered with CORU, yes or no? It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If you match their qualifications and what they're saying you need to have, then that's it. I think, and personal opinion only, accrediting bodies will still have a place for people to kind of be accountable, hold your code of ethics, code of conduct, do your CPDs, your continuous professional developments, things like that. I think will still be relevant, but they won't be as strict because
something else is coming true.
Yeah. And I, again, my opinion, I think their fees are going to have to change.
Possibly, yeah.
Because I think it's going to be, everyone's going to have to be the same. All the different bodies, because you're all only providing the same thing at that point. You're not giving me any security. You're not giving me anything. Koru are the ones, and we're all going to have to pay Koru.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, you know, that's that. But for supervision, I can only speak on how I view it. Because I think we've talked privately about the different levels of supervision and the different approaches to supervision. There are models of supervision, and like I think I blend a few of them in my work. I think, like you'd say, an integrative therapist, I would probably say I'm an integrative supervisor. So it really depends on the person. How I would work with a student in their first year of placement compared to how I would work with a student in second year placement, compared to someone who is pre-accredited, someone who is accredited, you know, they're all different. You know, it's lovely seeing the change in people, but my main things are to educate, manage and support.
Educate, manage and support.
So for the educational piece, it's, I suppose, sharing your knowledge, sharing the things that you have found worked and don't work, you know, supporting in the sense of whatever that person is going through, where they are in their space of as a therapist, you know, what's going on in their personal life, what's going on in their work life. And then managing is the not so nice bit, but that's the bit that's, you know, ethics, boundaries, you know, limitations, scope of practice, reporting criteria, you know, and it's a taboo subject, reporting, in therapy and in supervision, but I'm quite clear, like, you know, we're mandated reporters. I don't shy away from that. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't a part of what we do, but it is, and we can't change that. For me to work with someone, like, I've kind of three main criterias, like, you know, that ethically, you know, you kind of are, you stick to a code of ethics, like, you know, that you're not going to go rogue and go off doing things that you haven't a clue about and pretending that you know how to do things. So, like, that would be one. Boundaries is another one. I know that kind of falls under ethics, but I leave it as a second piece.
Tell me more about the boundaries. Like, is it more like that we don't go and hang out with clients? Yeah.
The horror stories I hear over the years just, it just solidifies it more to me how important boundaries are. Like,
could you share some of it in a confidential way?
Yeah. Because it's, like, you know, over a vast range of time, like, so it's not identifiable. There are people who would, I suppose, try to be friends with their clients, or inappropriate messaging.
Like from therapist to client?
Yeah. Some, and I'm generalizing this, like a touting for business nearly.
Touting.
So, like, you know, oh, you're due a session, like, where, you know, you need to book in.
Oh, okay.
You know, so
like chasing people to be booked in.
Yeah. Taking on any client at all, regardless of how you can work with them, or if you're the right person to work with them. And I've met a lot of people over the years who, do you know, like, they form companies nearly, and they take on student therapists, and they take everything that comes in the door and it's just given to students, and there's no support, and it's all money. And, like, I have a big thing with that. Like, to me, that's ethics and boundaries, like, you know what I mean?
Is it a common thing? I heard
too common.
A little bit about it. Is it too common, really?
Wow, yeah, and I see it because of the students that I work with.
Yeah.
You don't really see it other than that. It's really with the student work.
So is it more like somebody sets up a center based basically on trained therapists who work for free?
Yep. But they're charging clients.
Charging clients.
And the therapists get nothing.
Yeah.
And as I say, even if they pay their supervision.
Yeah.
Do you know? So the student may not make anything out of it, but, like, pay their supervision or something. anything, I feel it's free labor and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think if you're like, I did all my placements for free, but
Same.
the clients weren't being charged anything for them. So there was no imbalance there. There was no need. Look, and it's rampant all over the country. Like it's happening so many places.
I don't know.
And therapists are being treated really badly. And so, like, I've, again, gone off on a ramble now with that, but there are ways to work, and there are ways not to work. And if ethically you're not going to always put the client first, then I feel you've no business doing this job.
It sounds like a bit businessy, kind of like an endeavor to just earn money on people who are not earning money but working.
Taking advantage.
Take advantage, yeah.
Absolutely taking advantage of people. Like, and I would advocate for any student that I work with. Like, I'd be there going, I 100% understand you need to do your hours. And I do. I get that. I really do. We've all been there. We all know what that scramble is like. Yeah. So I would never say to someone leave or anything like that. But I would say the minute your hours are done, you are out of there for your sake. And now I can't make them. I have no intention of making them.
As you can't make a client to, leave their house when they are in domestic abuse situation. It's the same thing for them. It's their autonomy that they have to decide for themselves.
But I want them to be aware.
Yeah.
And if they choose to kind of stay working in those conditions, none of them want that anyway. They're very aware, like they're bringing it to me.
Yeah.
So they know, like they're just like, it doesn't sit right with me. It's not comfortable. Like those are the things that I really I'm strong on when it comes to it. Like, I will support you every way I can, but like if you're an accredited maybe therapist and you're staying in this horrendous environment, I'm there going, what's going on here?
Oh, if they are accredited, why would they be staying? That would be quite an interesting question.
Yeah.
Like, why would you?
It's very rare that happens, but most would be kind of, look, just going to get this signed off and then I'm done. And they're going, that makes so much sense because it isn't working for you. And then they don't get to have that space of, can I work with this person? Can I not?
Are they assigned clients?
Yeah, they can be assigned clients. And that's probably most of the phone calls that I get out of sessions is, Maria, I've been handed this client. I don't know if I can work with them. Can I just run it by you very quickly? And sometimes it's actually fine. They're just overthinking it. You know what I mean? But other times it's not okay. Like, they're going, no, you've done 10 hours of working with clients. No, this is too much. It's not fair for you to be seeing somebody in that situation. Yeah. Because there's too much to it. It's not fair on the client complex. And it's not. Yeah. So, it's really being aware of where they're at. So like my first session with any supervisee is like, tell me about your placement when they're student, obviously. Yeah. What's the story? Like, what's happening? Who are you getting? How many are you seeing a week?
What's put in place if this happens?
Yeah, who's there to support you? Yeah. And often some of them are like, I remember one person, she was starting her first ever client, and she rocked up to an empty building, and it was winter, I think, as well, so it was dark. And her first client was like a male or something, and there was nobody there. There was not one person there. And then she rang anyway, the person to open the building, and they came along, opened, or send somebody to open it, and drove off again. And she was left on her own in that building with somebody for the first time ever. I was like, that's not safe.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Like, even if you were a few years later qualified, it's still not.
That's
really
never okay.
Okay.
No. And especially this was in the middle of nowhere, I think, as well. It wasn't like, in an industrial estate where there was loads of people around. I think it was kind of, I don't know the building myself. I've never seen it. But from all sense purposes, it was black. Like the place was in darkness. I was like, oh God, no, that's not right.
What's it like for you as their supervisor, receiving a phone call or having the session with your supervisee telling you this? Is this difficult space in some way to hold?
No, it's not difficult. I try to suppress my frustration, not with them, but with
the center. And
with the the person who puts them in these situations. And my mind boggles at times. I'm there going, how are you doing this? How are you thinking this is okay? Like, do you not remember what it was like? Do you not remember? Because I remember what it was like.
Yeah.
So I can't understand how anybody would think, oh no, sure, it's grand. Just go on, do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you don't know anything about the person or what they're presenting, or you've never sat in front of someone before and you're giving them these big cases.
You would hope that in a therapy center people would be aware of this, that we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel of boundaries and ethics and stuff, but seems to be happening still.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where the management part of the supervision comes in. Like, it's rare I've had to put my foot down, but I have had to put my foot down.
In a way of like,
okay, well, this isn't safe, or, that's a reporting issue.
Okay.
And you have to do it. Like, so vicariously, though, I am responsible. So I said to you, I go worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Have to do it. And my supervisor does it with me. So worst case scenario, just say a reporting situation, and the therapist didn't report it, and it comes up in a court case 10 years later. Like, I'm vicariously responsible as their supervisor. So the tag is on me then as well.
Right.
Do you know? So, you have to kind of sometimes go, okay, you may think that this isn't something, but we're not in a grey area here, because there is grey areas. There's lots of grey areas. But when it's very clearly not a grey area, you have to be the responsible person at the end of the day, as much as that's uncomfortable for people.
Can you imagine like going through this? Let's say, I'm just using an example in States. What do you think would happen with a therapist who is going without supervision for 3, 4, 5, 15 years? I'm always having a hard time imagining.
It's the same. Like, if there was no mandatory reporting, it's still a very hard thing to listen to as a therapist. So, I can understand 100% where therapists come from who don't want to do the reports, and, because they're worried for their client, or they just don't want them to be upset or open up bombshells and all that kind of stuff. I get that. And therapy should be a space where you can say whatever you want and it's secure and it's safe. But that's not where we are. That's not what the rules are here. Even if we didn't have to make reports, I think the unnerving or upset for the therapist, supervision brings that safe space to be able to talk about that, because, again, they're not allowed to talk about it with anybody else.
Yeah.
It's a very lonely world when you can't discuss the things that you hear.
Because most of the time, I imagine most people come home and say what happened to them at work.
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy just pissed me off again.
Yeah.
Didn't do this, didn't do that. And you complain to your spouse, and the spouse just rolls their eyes again about Jimmy. All right, here we go. But we can't do that.
No.
When we are therapists or supervisors.
No.
So we have to find a space to, I guess, in some way, healthily keep it in and process it, and then let that go. Yeah. In some way.
Yeah. And look, there's a lot of reflection with, therapy work, supervision work. And it is about okay, where is this impacting me? How is it impacting me? Is this something that I need to be aware of going forward? Or was it just that one day or that one situation? Or am I dealing with something different today because, am I being triggered by that because of something in my own experiences?
Or is it matching my own lived experience, maybe as a child?
Yeah.
Then I might be highly unaware that I'm meeting my parent.
Yeah.
In the client seat. And I don't know that maybe they look like them, or maybe they sound like them, or maybe they behave with me like they did, my parents did with me. Yeah. And I'm reacting as the 8-year-old child. Yeah. Even though I'm supposed to be the therapist in that chair.
And that's a huge thing to be aware of, But I think when you catch yourself the first time, because it happens. Yeah. I think once you catch yourself once, you're like, there it is. Yeah. That's the piece that we were waiting for all this time. And it's, okay, how did I deal with that? How do I manage that? Did I do countertransference with my client and kind of go, treat them as if they were, the child or the parent or whatever it is that it was? Or was it just a blip of a physical reaction that I felt? And then it's no, that was it. But I know exactly what it was, and then you can just go back to it later and deal with it, as opposed to making sure it doesn't take over the sessions. But again, that's where the supervision comes in, to make that space. And you often see that with supervisees, even in just little bits of like, oh, I was really thinking about the client and I was just about to text them there. And I was like, what are you texting them for? And I was like, they had a hard session yesterday. I was like, okay. So I said, what is the text? I just want to check in, see how they're doing. Are they all right? I was like, okay.
That's interesting.
Who are you doing that for?
Yeah.
Well, for them. I was like, well, why? Do they have your number?
Did they ask for it?
No. So like, do they have your number? Yeah. Do they have your email? Yeah. Do they know how to book another session? Yeah. So they can reach out if they need you. Yeah. So again, who are we doing it for? Well, I suppose I just want to know, were they all right? So you're doing it for you.
I want to make sure that my anxiety is alleviated somehow.
Yep.
I see.
So they're there going, okay, and 9 times out of 10, it's completely out of the therapist's awareness that it's them that are needing that reassurance, not the client. I was going, what do you think that message sends your client if you're actually messaging them? Do you think you're kind of saying, I wasn't sure you could cope, so I needed to check in?
Right.
Do you need me more? Do you need me right now? Because I don't think you can manage.
That's interesting, yeah.
Rather than, they know where you are.
Yeah.
And if you ever have a client that you feel, or that the session has been heavy, or, or you feel that they're a little bit out of, like, in a safety zone, maybe, or, well, then we have a safety plan. Maybe it's a prearranged agreement of like, okay, I'm not really massively comfortable, but like, I'm not going to ring your next of kin. We're not at that level.
Yeah.
But maybe, over the weekend, I know you have this situation coming up. Maybe just send me a thumbs up on the Saturday just for this one situation.
Okay.
And that's just to...
That's pre-agreement.
That's a pre-agreement.
Both parties agree with.
Yeah. And otherwise, if somebody has, just say, and normally this tends to be around what could be a disturbing event, or like if there was a family gathering and there was an issue in the family. So like if you were worried or concerned, but you could say, okay, you have my number. So if you need me more than, if you need me before our next session, just pop me, a text and we'll try to book something in.
Yeah.
Because you're not their emergency contact. And that's a really hard thing to kind of get your head around sometimes, because we feel like we're all empathetic. But we're not. Not that we're not empathetic, but we're not 24/7.
And you also, I guess, don't want to like medicate or like soothe the client between sessions, because that's kind of their job.
Yeah.
To take on.
Where do they learn it otherwise?
And oftentimes it's the part of like starting session saying like, how did you do through that?
How did you manage?
How did you manage? So it's interesting.
Yeah, so you the aim for me of therapy is for the person to be able to help solve their own problems eventually. Through, I suppose that's part of the CBT process though as well. It's creating these helpful strategies, techniques, tools that you're going to use when a bump hits the road, because you are going to hit a bump. None of us float through life on an even keel, and go to therapy and that's that problem sorted now. I'll never have that again.
Sure.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, it's like, well, okay, what can I do to try and manage this again when it comes up? And to not automatically go, oh my God, I'm back to square one. It's a bump. It's going to keep happening, and we all deal with them, but it's how do I deal with it?
So that's your aim from the client to therapist.
Yeah.
Would you have a similar aim from the point of view of supervisor to supervisee?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like, I kind of nearly think of it like, well, there's actually a terminology of the scaffolding.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of think of it as like, your training wheels on your tricycle when you're starting, like as a kid, and I feel like that's the way supervision is at the start. you need those stabilizers.
Oh, you do.
You need them, like, you know, because you're like, oh, you know, and sometimes I'd be giggling very openly with the supervisors, kind of going, come on, guys, you know, you got this, you know how to do this. And then, like, you know, they're going into their 4th year. It's like, I remind them actually at the end of their first 100 hours or whatever, I would remind them to think of where they started.
Okay.
And think of where you are now.
Yeah.
And we do, like all colleges do them, like the review form.
Yes.
And I like to do mine with the supervisee.
Oh, interesting.
So I do it and we go through it together. And I go, how do you think you did on this?
Okay.
So, like, where do you think, you know, like some of the questions, like around feedback or giving feedback, receiving feedback, follow through on things. So, like, well, where do you think from where you started to where you are now? You know, and remember that. And then again, I think in 4th year, you're taking those stabilizers away and you're like, okay, come on. You know what to do in this situation, you know, and they still need guidance. They still need lots of support. They still need to kind of different ways I could work with somebody, or, you know, the questions. Like a lot of the time it comes up of, what can I ask?
Yeah.
Is that okay to ask?
How?
Yeah.
And how do you ask certain things? Yeah.
And look, I'm very transparent with clients and with supervisees. So I'm like, be honest. Always be honest. Always be clear. Always be open. Be naturally curious. That's the key. You know, just always be like, oh, tell me more about that. Like, you know, and they're like, can I do that? And I was like, yeah, of course you can. As long as you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, past the training, you know, there's always a lot of talk about fees and how do we start and where do we go? And like, that's really when you're like, okay, you know, now get your car. We've gone from the stabilizers, we've gone onto your bike, now we're in your car.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you do that? So it does change. It absolutely evolves. And I love the ones that, you know, our sessions, our supervision sessions, they're hilarious. They can be anything from like half an hour of chit chat. And then they just bring something up and I'm there going, do we need to be doing more here? And they're like, no, I love this. You know, I love this space, you know, because sometimes it can be just a bitching session about stuff with work or stuff with colleagues or stuff with just households or anything. Like, but it's that space of just getting it off their chest. And again, but those are people that are doing this years, you know, and they're like literally gliding through. Every now and then, like myself, the stuff comes up and you're like, I need to bring that to supervision now. And it goes on my list. But yeah, so you see them evolve and change and we laugh and joke about it. Like my supervisor still laughs and jokes about me and he says to me, Maria, that girl that came to me in 2015, you know.
10 years since you joined supervision with your supervisor.
With Jim, yeah. So it's funny, you know, and you could see the growth and you can see, and you know, I have a few people that I was, because they were in their 4th year of college, they swapped from 3rd year to 4th year to me and they stayed with me then, so through their placements and through their different jobs now.
Yeah.
So we can really see the difference in them. And we talk about it often, like, you know, do you remember when you were in this placement, or do you remember, you know, how you felt when that happened? And look at you now, like.
Yeah.
So it is, you know, the evolving work. Those are the people. It's so easy to work with them. Like the sessions aren't anyway difficult because we really brainstorm when something comes up, because they're well able to brainstorm with me. You know, so together we're kind of working through things and we're like, what about this? And, you know, did you try that? And they're like, yeah, no, I did that. Okay, what else could we look at? What about this resource? You know, so it's really kind of going through it together, you know, and a fresh set of eyes on a situation.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Because when you, with a client, you can kind of get bogged down in their story too much. So you don't actually maybe get the awareness of what you actually are trying to achieve. Yeah. Or where you're trying to go, how you're trying to help, what you're missing. Because you're going to miss stuff.
Yeah. Oh, of course you are. Like we can't be everything to everyone or know everything. So, and sometimes like that, you can get lost in the obvious. And And for ages, it kept happening me. Because maybe when I just came out of the Masters in CBT, and like I was so absorbed in CBT, I kept floundering when clients were coming in and it wasn't CBT we were doing. And I kept going to supervision going, Jim, I don't know what to do. I'm useless. I don't know what to do with this person. He was there going, did you ask them? And I was there going,
interesting.
No. And he was there going, but they come back, Maria. So they're obviously getting something.
I see.
And I'm there going, but. And it was just my uncomfort with not doing a clear plan on something, you know, whereas when you're solely like going person-centered to something, you know, you're just sitting there and allowing the space to be the space. And when you spend so long with it being something completely different, that's hard to go back into.
I see.
Because
so between the
I felt
CBT
useless.
And the humanistic, let's say, integrative.
Yeah.
You know.
And it was all about me. It was all about my uncomfort. Not the clients, they're happy.
Yeah.
You know, they're sitting there going,
I think it's often the case where I kind of will bring something to my supervisor and I'm saying like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, or what did I say, or should I say it? And then he asks, you know, is the client okay? Well, the client is fine. It's just me problem between my head and my other head.
Yep.
That's all.
Yeah.
You know, client might not be aware of anything happening internally.
Oh, not a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I still to this day sometimes get a little bit, you know, thrown by it, kind of going, CBT, and then I'm not doing CBT, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything for them, so we're not working on anything. And like, I was there going, how can I take money off this person?
Right.
Imposter syndrome comes in. I'm useless. This is terrible, especially me talking about ethics. And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm not being ethical because we're not getting anywhere. But then he's saying, and do you do your check-ins? So do a check-in with the client. How are you? How are you finding it? This is brilliant. The space. Yeah. And I'm there going, okay, it's you again, Maria.
Yeah.
You know, that internal voice in you is just never going to stop. Never.
I think we all have that internal voice judging ourselves, how bad or poor performing we are, regardless of what's happening actually with them, oftentimes.
And I embrace that a little bit.
Tell me more.
And I think everyone should embrace it. As if we go back to what I said at the very beginning, it was about the more you feel bad about you in the space, the safer you are because you're so concerned about your client.
Because you care.
Because I care.
Yeah.
So when I'm beating myself up like that, going, oh my God, like all my insecurities, they're all based around, is the client getting what they need? Yeah. Am I not good enough for them? And it's all about them. So if I didn't have that internal dialogue, then am I actually caring about the client? I can now catch myself in the spiral, and then I kind of go, oh yeah. And the lecturer is in my head going, remember, you know, that's okay. You know, it's about caring. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be beating yourself up. So the safe part is the beating up. I know that sounds so strange, but this is so true.
Because it comes from your heart. Because it comes from the
your heart,
place. Because you want to provide a service that provides some value to the client.
Yeah. I want them to get everything that they can get from the space. I want them to achieve something, regardless of what that is. Whether that's a CBT strategy technique to deal with something, or whether it's an offload space where they just have that 1 hour where they can just be heard with no judgment. And that's it.
That's a lot though.
That is a lot, but for us, that seems sometimes not enough.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. So, but then I kind of go, okay, and I catch myself. And what I did was at the start, when this kept coming up for me in supervision, I got, do you know those little stickies, like red little sticky things? And I used to put them in the inside of the file. So when I'd open the file for the person that I knew was, you know, not coming for CBT, that was my reminder and a little breath before the session going, you know, and all it was just a visual for me. And I was saying, we're not doing CBT. Calm down. you know, and then afterwards I'm there going to check it in on my insecurities, but I also check in with the client at the end, like, you know, how are you and how was that? You know, is there anything more you'd like it to be or whatever? And they're like, oh, I really needed that or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, back to your stuff, Maria. So it was just a reminder for me before going in, because sometimes I was catching myself in session nearly trying to push it into something that they didn't want it to be.
Yeah.
For me.
I think it's often the case, at least for me, myself as well, in the middle of the me like, oh, I have 20 minutes left. What should I do? Yeah. But I need to leave it to be with them and they can do, I need to trust their autonomy as well.
Yeah.
That they are getting what they want and what they need.
Yeah.
Or just ask them right up, being like, or maybe every 10 session ask them, are we doing a good thing? Is it going where you think it's going? And oftentimes it probably doesn't go where they initially thought it would go, because things in therapy change from one to another. Yeah.
That's why, like, you know, the CPDs sometimes that I do, it's like people are mad coming on going, I want a case conceptualization. And I'm there going, my first slide tells you the reality is there's no such thing as really a case conceptualization, you know, because they're looking for a plan. Week 1 to week 10.
I see.
What happens? And it's they're going, but nobody comes in and sticks to a 10-week set plan. That how am I going to know what's going to happen in 2 weeks' time? For me, as a person,
yet alone.
also
their space to do what they want to do.
So, like, you have to learn to be flexible with the client and be a little bit more secure in that flexibility, you know, of what's coming up and what's happening now. You know, if you're doing CBT and you're doing homework activities, you know, checking in on those, yes. But if it's veered into another way, we can kind of go, okay, look, I'm conscious that we were doing this, but this seems to be really important to you to talk about today. So are you okay that we put this aside? And maybe next week or the week after, whenever, we'll pick it back up again. So you're just not ignoring it, you know, because if you've asked them to do some work, you need to check that the work is done, because it's not fair. You know, they'd be like, I put all this effort in and they didn't even look at it or ask me about it. You know, so just kind of, I suppose, owning it a little bit, that if you feel that it's veering into something else, that you allow it to veer into something else and name it with them.
Are there any common challenges therapists are experiencing that you're noticing as supervisor?
Look, there's plenty, and the trends change all the time. At the minute, there's a lot of people coming in to sessions and saying they have a diagnosis, you know, and my first question to a client, if they come to me, or a supervisee about a client, as they're going, okay, I let it go, like, as in straight away. I wouldn't be digging in like an investigator or anything, but I kind of go, okay, well, is it a self-diagnosis or is it an actual diagnosis? And the reason I suppose I ask, again, with the mental health background that I have, like, knowing the extremes between a clinical diagnosis of something and a generic diagnosis of something is extremely different to how we would work as therapists. I'll give you the themes that came up this morning in supervision, like, and it came up yesterday as well. So, and it's happening a lot. People coming in saying they have OCD. So I'm there going, well, okay, that's one of the ones that's extremely different if it is a clinical diagnosis of OCD, like from a psychiatrist or a psychologist, versus OCD symptoms, as I would say, or OCD tendencies. And the problem, like, with clients is you can hear something and pick it up wrong. So if anybody says the words OCD, you can just run with that and go look it up, and then, yeah, everything applies to me. I have OCD. Whereas under the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistics Manual, like, you know, it's, people forget the extra parts, which is like, well, you have to have, just say some of the stuff. Like, so you could have like 11 symptoms, and it could be, you need to have like 8 of them, like, for 2 weeks solid every single day for it to be an actual diagnosis. Now, that's just like for an anxiety disorder or like the depression or whatever. So same with OCD, there are certain things you have to match, but not just any time. You know, so if I read something now, I could kind of go, have you ever, you know, been, you know, a little bit, you know, this or that and the other? And I'm like, oh, absolutely, yeah.
We all would. If it was, have you ever, we all would have a tons
exactly.
of things.
So, you know, people can pick these things up in various ways. And especially when we're searching for answers, people like labels as well, because it kind of makes, okay, now I know what I can work with.
I know how to fix it.
Yeah.
If I know what a label is.
So it can come in a lot. And I'm there going, well, like, for a therapist's work, you need to know the difference, especially just say with OCD, because it's like the person this morning was presenting with, and it wasn't a client, it was a supervisee. So, one removed, and it was, client said they had OCD. And when I was digging a little bit about, okay, well, how is that presenting itself? It was actually over obsessive thoughts rather than OCD. So I'm there going, well, it's all catastrophizing thoughts, negative thoughts, like one of them was like, I'm trying to make it so that
generic,
it's not generic. Yeah. There was something about blood anyway, and, transmitting diseases and then to others, So I was there going, okay, well, that's not OCD. That's catastrophizing. That's, like jumping to conclusions. That's doing all these, like,
there's the CBT
negative
part of it
sides. And I was like, what are the compulsions? And it was like, there didn't seem to be any, so that was just a simple one. And then there was ones where people were like, rituals that they were doing. But it's like, okay, well, why are we doing the rituals? Is it because I feel like something really bad will happen if I don't do this? Or B, is it just, well, I'm afraid I'll get sick, and, I do all these rituals, but I actually know that I'm being a little bit ridiculous here. And we're very easily able to do like exposure therapy and just kind of pull back on the rituals bit by bit by bit. And they work fine. So they're like tendencies, as opposed to someone who's got a compulsion. No matter some of the work that you do, it's really hard.
It's there. And it could be there for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by like the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And like when people say, oh, I'm diagnosed with depression, and they're going, okay, well, can they get out of bed? No, they're in work, they're socializing with friends, they're doing bits, but like they've noticed that they're not really enjoying things. Okay, so we're in low mood, sometimes catastrophic low mood, but we're not in depression, clinical depression. So like under the, again, DSM-5, like as in a diagnostic. A lot of people would, I hear stories about diagnosed by previous therapists.
We can't diagnose.
No, but
I just want to say it up there. We can't diagnose.
Yeah.
And we're not trained. We're not even trained.
Nope.
Not even licensed. Nothing.
Nope. Nope. So like, and sometimes that may not even be true, as in, it's, it's why I don't actually like using those, the GAD and the PHQ, those assessment tools. So they're used for anxiety and depression. But what they actually are is like a 2-weeker. So you're to look at your life today. So you do these, like, just say the PHQ, which is the one for depression. And it's like 9 questions on it. And you fill it out today and you look at, over the last 2 weeks, have I experienced any of these? It's not how often, like it's just like never, sometimes, occasionally, all the time, So it's broad. In the CBT world, they're used as an indicator.
Okay.
This is where you are today. Maybe halfway through our work, we'll do it again and see where you are. And has it changed? Has it shifted?
Yeah.
What's working? What's not working? And then again, we'll use it at the end. And where are you? And hopefully things will have moved. And that's what they were created for. But I feel like when you bring anything like that into a client work, all they see is a piece of paper, an assessment tool. No matter how much you tell them, this is not a diagnosis. They still hear it. So, they still pick it up. They still kind of go, well, yeah, when I was with my therapist now, we did a tool and it was this. And they're going, okay. So I kind of pulled away from those things because of that reason. So people very quickly get misconstrued, or their doctor could put them on medication for something. So a doctor,
without being diagnosed?
Yes. So a doctor could say like, look, that's anxiety disorder, or it sounds like general anxiety disorder, or it sounds like OCD tendencies, or it sounds like OCD, and they'll just give them something. But then they come away from that going, I got diagnosed as
they
this, that, the other
misread
thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm clear, like, okay. And if they did get a diagnosis, who gave you the diagnosis?
And also when?
Yeah.
Because somebody, I know somebody who, I can be in general being like, they were diagnosed with depression, but 22 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
When they were teenager.
Yeah.
Things do change.
Yeah. And same with bipolar, actually. That was something that was, our personality disorders as well were a big diagnosis a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, being 15, 20 years ago. But people still carry the tagline. Not happily, by the way.
Yeah.
But we're there going, maybe look at getting that redone, or because just get rid of it for yourself if you don't want to carry it. Because people do change and lives evolve. Like, I wasn't the same person 2 years ago as I am today. I won't be the same person in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
So, like, we manage things, we deal with things differently, and we cope with things differently. But I think it's a big thing that I always ask, and I always get my therapist to ask, is make sure when you get all these lists of diagnoses, ask where they are. Autism is another one, or the ADHD.
Yeah, ADHD, yeah.
All these seem to be big as well. And you just want to know, are they real, or are they the symptoms that they're associating with? And if they are, that's okay. We can work with that.
Yeah.
But again, you have to be highly conscious of how you work if it is a diagnosis, because it's different. You have to monitor what you're doing or change your way with any of them. So you just have to be a little bit more conscious and aware. Like when we're looking at CBT and we're looking at giving people tasks, like you don't want to give them something that they're not able to do.
ADHD clients would tend to react differently.
Yeah, 100%. And then you're hitting into people feeling like they're failing, or they're not capable, or they're not able, and then your self-esteem is down, and so you don't want to reinforce any of that with people. So just knowing this at the beginning is a good framework, in my opinion. Again, my opinion.
And I guess for me, it was like when only years ago when I started, a few years ago, when I kind of heard somebody being diagnosed really with stuff, it freaked me out.
Yeah.
Because I had to go through the developmental stage of me learning how do you work with certain types of OCD. Do I have a training for it? If I don't, can I get a training for that? Right? And that kind of was difficult. Was more, I guess, kind of like all of a sudden I was like serious. This person has a serious diagnosis from their psychiatrist. Like if you know your boundaries, again, boundaries and ethics, right?
Yeah.
Then you can say, okay, I can work with this part, but maybe for this part, you want to find maybe somebody who's specialized.
Absolutely. Because a lot of the time, even people who have like general diagnosis, and if someone has a serious mental health disorder, and they should be under a psychiatric team, so they are going to have a mental health team, and that's what they do. That's their baby to look after. Like you're not working with someone who's has schizophrenia, let's say, and it's not your job to make the schizophrenia go away. It's your job to, what's happening for you?
Yeah.
What's going on? How can we work with this? And, as well with eating disorders and things like that, I'd say to people, you're not a specialist in an eating disorder. So what we can do, and I would tell anybody, like, I'll happily work with you around how it's impacting you, but you need to be going to a specialist for that. To deal with that. We can still work together, no problem, but be clear like that I'm not about that. That's not what I'm trained in specifically. That goes with everything. Like, if there's a specific issue, and we've all been there where you were saying, like, you get this list of, I've did this, and I'm like, panic. Yeah. I can't work with that. Yeah. And then, I've learned over the years to kind of go, do you know what? Just do a meeting. Do a phone call, do a meeting, and then it's nothing to do with any of that stuff that they're coming for therapy for.
They want to just get through a week, go to a grocery store, buy their stuff, and get home, or talk to their partner, kid, or whoever. Fine, but can I stabilize them and help them through the regular stuff without going into stuff I'm not equipped to handle?
Yeah.
Which is freaking me out.
And it does, because we're like, we think, oh, crap, how am I going to get rid of
to be everything
bipolar?
For everybody. Yeah. Right?
How am I going to do that? Yeah. Like, no, that's not your job. If somebody actually has bipolar, that's their psychiatrist and their psychologist and their mental health team, all to be working around that as a team. There's 10 or 12 of them doing that. Yeah. That's not what you do. You're there as a support for whatever they need, and it could be completely unrelated to like anything to do with the bipolar. They could be coming because they're having relationship issues.
Yeah.
Or a work issue. Or
grieving.
Yeah. Or
they could be grieving for whatever reason somebody passed or...
Yeah. Because again, as long as you're upfront about it and saying, do you know what, I have no problem working with you, but like, you know, I'm not a specialist in this. So, you know, you need to talk to your mental health team if like, you know, medication is an issue. Or I've often worked with people who, you know, get the white coat syndrome, you know.
Tell me more.
So afraid of doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, or anybody, like, you know, so they get just kind of blindsided, and they put off going to talk about medication, or if they're on it, getting it reviewed. So we use the sessions to talk about the worries or the fears, and then making a list, bringing your list to your doctor, writing down what it is you want to ask them. And like, this is part of my self-share with them, like, you know, they're going, I do this. You know, like every time I go to the doctor, so I might have a little niggle and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go just for the niggle. So I'll put it into a notes on my phone.
Nice.
And every time I do go, because I have to go every couple of months for bloods and stuff. So when I do go, it's kind of like, oh yeah, and while I'm here, and he laughs at me because I just take out my phone and here we go. And yeah, that happened, or my ankle and this, you know, and he's there going, yeah, grand, we'll go through all those things, Maria, like, no problem. And then they're like, oh, okay, you do that as well. So, yeah, because I won't remember. I've brought my mother to medical appointments and like with consultants, and as they're about to talk, I say, hold on a minute, and I take out my phone to write down their answers. I say, because I will not remember.
You're going to... I walked out of the GP store, I was like,
what did he say?
What do I have?
Well, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
So like we do, like it's normal that we have that kind of element of like, there's a lot going on, and sometimes people can just talk over your heads and you're just like, whoa. So like, you know, it's your time, write it down, ask the questions, but they rush me. F them. Excuse my French, but you know, that's your space and you use it, and you know, maybe bring someone with you. So we work on the advocate piece, all those extra. So use the space for whatever you need to use the space for.
And the same for clients.
Yeah.
What they want to bring up in therapy.
100%.
I often start like, what do you want to talk about today? Unless there is something that may be hanging over from last time, I would always start like, what else are maybe your supervisees struggling with? As
you say, the normal, like of the, how do they set up? How do they go into their practice, you know? So we do that. We do a lot of like work around, you know, the stepping stones to setting up what you need to do, what the basics from your accounting to your, you know, rental piece, if that's going to be something, expenses, you know, promoting yourself, getting yourself out there, getting yourself ready, you know, just all the basics. Like, so that's always a struggle. I don't ever think that's not going to be a struggle. You know, finances, setting your fees, you know, when to know to increase them, when to know to decrease them. Some people are crazy with their what they can. They're going, really? You know, it's just, you know, knowing what you need to do. CPDs. Look, a lot of courses are lacking at the minute of upskilling courses. So I've noticed this myself, looking for pieces of information, and I'm trying to build that into actually APCP around bringing more advanced courses. So, you know,
more variety or more like in-depth stuff?
More practical, hands-on. So like, you know, you've done CPDs where, but it's all with the basics. So like, I don't need to do, let's say, internal family systems or something. It keeps coming up a lot in practice for me at the minute. So I'm kind of there going, I wouldn't mind just delving a little bit deeper into this again, because it's been a while since I did it in college. But I don't need to know what the basics are. I don't need to know what it is, where it originated, you know, how it presents. We know all that. I want the next step. Like, what
how to put into your practice, like
bringing it in, showing me like what would that look like, you know, or if giving me examples of if this comes up, you know, you could try this, or techniques that come into play. So we're kind of, I think that's missing in a lot of spaces. So when you're accredited and you're doing this a long time and you're looking for CPDs, sometimes we're looking for them just to tick a box, or we're doing them because, oh, I don't know, it's handy to do, or I like it, I'm interested in it. But you spend hours listening to the same stuff that you've done already. So, like, I think that's missing, and people are often asking me, do you know of any courses that, would give the next step. And
Okay.
then, no, actually, so there's a gap between an introductory piece and then going off doing a degree. And I was like, I don't want to do a degree
see.
in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go do a master's in it.
Yeah.
I just want a 1 day kind of
Full intensive course in that you can use right away, maybe.
of practicality
Yeah.
of what's coming into the practice. Like I'm doing a CPD, haven't done it yet now, it's the end of the month, so it'll be an interesting how it goes, but it's for supervisors specifically. Like I'm just facilitating it. As I said, it's a peer-led supervisors CPD. And what it will be discussing like challenges or themes or things that are coming into supervision. And it's a space for us all to kind of go, what would you do in this situation? Or I'm not sure about that. What do you think about this? It's teasing out whatever concepts are coming up for people, and it's practical.
Yeah.
Very practical, as opposed to sitting there. I don't need to sit there and kind of go, oh, this is what supervision is. This is what, that is. We're all doing it. We all know that stuff. So I think that's something for the last year or two I've kind of noticed people asking me, and I'm there going, I actually don't even know where to direct you for this. Because it's one or the other.
Yeah. It's introductory course or like a diploma or master's.
And people are like, no, I just want a little bit more. In the room, what do we do? How do I work that in the room?
How do I use it?
Yeah.
Are we all in Ireland bad in marketing ourselves as therapists?
Yes.
Tell me more.
I think
Is it Irish thing or is it just...
Oh yeah, totally. I think so. So like,
Can I even say that?
yes, you can. This comes in with self-esteem work with clients as well, believe it or not. So like I started with a very basic self-esteem sheet, and I know I'm kind of going back into client work, but it kind of relates. It's the positive traits. Have you ever seen the sheet? And it has like 50 or something positive traits. It's just words. And
I know the one with my strengths and my weaknesses.
no, this one just has like about 50 words. Strong, intelligent, loving, caring, kind, loyal, all those kind of words, right?
I see.
And like I would say to people when we're doing work on self-esteem, I would say, right, I hand them the sheet, I tell them nothing about it. And I say, take a minute or two and just circle the positive traits that you think you have. No more. That's it. And get it handed back to me. And like people who are really low on self-esteem, you could have 3 or 4 circled.
Oh.
People who aren't too bad, but typical Irish might only have like 6 or 7 or 10.
Typical
maybe.
Irish. I love that.
Typical Irish. And I always make a joke. Like I said, if I handed this to an American, they would add more and the back would be full of words as well. And they would circle everything, and it's because we were reared on who do you think you are? Right? Who are you talking yourself up? Notions. That's the word. Everyone uses notions. And we don't do that. In every sense, it's about, breaking that pattern of clapping yourself on the back. And we're really, really, really bad at acknowledging what we do well.
Why? What do you think, as a therapist and supervisor, even when you say it, who do you think you are? Where do you think it's coming from? Could it be traced to something? I don't know.
Oh, it's definitely a generational thing. It's 100% because I can see the people saying it. Even, when you see friends gathering, it's still there. You can still hear people going, did you see that? Did you hear what she said? Or he, and you're there going, yeah, it's still there. It's
generational in a way of that was passed down.
Oh yeah. In your household, you would have heard, siblings, parents, aunts, uncles talking to each other, friends, and they're always talking about someone else. And it's woe the begrudger kind of thing. Very... Notions is the only word I can think of because that's what people say.
Is it maybe the idea that somebody thought that this will make the kids humble? Or maybe is it that they're not going to be arrogant? Or surely there must have been some sort of protective function of it. Because I know few people who would use that terminology.
Yeah.
And I don't think they are mean. They are trying to do something, impart maybe wisdom in some very special way, maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's definitely just something we were reared with, you know. So, like in school, it was said in school to us
By teachers?
Yes.
Oh.
Like definitely, like, you know, and showing my age again now, but I remember like it was only when I was in infants, but like I remember like nuns coming in with rulers and walloping you if you know, said something wrong or, you know, talk back. Or I remember I even got a slap once for not speaking Irish and we hadn't even learned it yet. You know, I was in first infants, you know, but so you would have definitely been like told to get off your high horse. Culturally, Irish people were not allowed be above their station. You know, that would have been quite a trend, like, you know, you think you're better than you are, so I will show you that you're not.
And is this possibly, because I don't know, I really don't know, but is this possibly, when you're saying that Irish were not allowed to be above their station, is this possibly coming from the colonial time where the English were here?
Possibly. Who knows? All I know is like it dates back, and you know, even to my grandmother's era, like, you know, I'd often hear my mum say something about, you know, where they lived, and they lived on a farm, and her father was the first one to have a car, and, you know, even at that, like, some people were like, oh yeah, look at him now, off in his car. Do you know? So people would have begrudged it. Kind of, you know, the jealousy element of that. And I don't know where it stemmed from. I can't name that. I wouldn't know. But it is very much ingrained in our culture. So, like, it's trying to reverse that then. That's quite difficult in people. Because if you've been reared in a voice that was like, you never show that you're good enough, how do you start believing, oh, maybe I am?
And maybe even if the parents didn't believe it themselves.
Yes, of course they didn't.
Believe it?
Yeah. Because how could they? Because they were told.
Because they were told.
Yeah.
They were all conditioned. Yeah. Maybe could you see, I'm not sure if you do, but would you have maybe some international therapists as a supervisors? Do you see any change?
Oh,
there?
100%, yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's not nearly as evident. The fear, the insecurities.
The fear of
working with clients, the fear of, you know, oh, I'm not ready.
Putting myself out there.
Yeah, not being ready, not being confident enough, not being capable of doing it. That would be a lot higher.
How do you work with this when you have a supervisor who's starting off, they finish their training, they are working on their hours, and they are going through all these steps, right? How do I market myself? How do I put a value on myself? How do I start charging? And this comes up. I guess it looks like it's quite often that it comes up. But
like it's going back to normalizing it. You know, normalizing that it's there and naming it and trying to, because for supervisees, let's say it, you know, they're not my client, but it kind of comes a part of that, and you become in a session of, why do you think you're not good enough? You know, why do you think you don't deserve this? What do you think you would need to deserve this?
To allow yourself to.
Yeah. So if you could imagine the part where you want to do this, that, or the other, whatever it is that their goal was, you know, what would need to change for that to happen? And then, you know, watch them process that and kind of go, well, I have the qualifications, you know, and you're like, do you now? Yeah. What else do you have? It's that kind of support. Again, it goes back to that support piece of the supervision. It's like, you know, encouragement, you know, giving them the reassurance that, you know, they are absolutely on track and they absolutely do deserve to do this. And there's a kind of a stigma in our profession that we're carers, so we shouldn't charge, you know.
Yeah. Shouldn't be asking for too much money.
Yeah. Or any. We feel that like it's just, but because we care, we should do this for free.
And they need us.
Yes.
And we need to help them.
Yeah. but like you also need to pay rent. You also need to feed yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you also need the roof over your head. You know, so
Or pay for the course you did in order to help them.
Yeah, nobody thinks about how expensive it is, and especially the courses, because when you go do your course, no one tells you about the supervision, the personal therapy. You know, for a lot of people, actually, the driving to their placements, and like it's a lot of money. You know, and you deserve to charge for it. It is building them up. It is like reassuring, you know, and it is bringing to their awareness where those insecurities are holding them back. But it's slow. It's no slower than it is when you're working with clients trying to reverse the self-esteem piece. You know, and you might, you know, be able to make a joke about like, you know, what would you tell your client now when they're coming with this stuff? And then they're like laughing, going, go away, Maria, you know, because they know it. You know, it's just that reassurance, you know, and really having their back. And I do, like, I have all of their backs. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them do well. I want to, you know, encourage them to be the best that they can be. And like, I will be their number one fan. Like, I will share everything as much as I can. You know, I will promote. I will refer people to them. I will refer to people that I trust. And I won't be working with you as a therapist if I don't trust you. Sometimes you can by accident, like, you know, but, you know, soon after they're qualified, I'll be like, yeah, we're done. Kind of maybe it's better for you to work with someone else, because maybe our ethics or our values don't match. And they will definitely feel that same way anyway. But
probably feel that what's going on between.
Oh, they have to, because a positive working relationship is really important in supervision. And if you don't have that, I think you're at nothing. You're back to ticking boxes again. That's not what I want the space to be. And I don't think anybody wants that space where you're just like, oh, I'm here because I have to be here.
Where you're driving somewhere and crying before you get out of the car.
Yeah.
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 And I never want it to be that. You know, that's not what this is about. And it's never going to be what it's about. Like, do I get frustrated at times? Yeah. You know, do I kind of go, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. But would I ever react in a negative manner? No. Do you know, my professional self wouldn't allow that, you know, and my own values wouldn't allow that.
Can I ask specifically about marketing and promoting myself? You know, in my case, right, my supervisor was begging me for 3 months saying, Pavel, make your website. People can't find you. I'm like, okay, I'll get to it now. Right? Am I the only one who's like this, or is it similar?
No,
with other
like
people?
most people are, because it's that step, isn't it? It's putting yourself out there. It's frightening.
And it's also for some people like, how do I make my website? And sometimes it's expensive if you go to a professional.
Very.
Right? Or like, so I know people who are like literally, I don't know how to do it. I just do not know. People who may be in a different age group, they have no clue how to do business cards, how to do websites, how to do Instagram. That's scary. Social media for some people are scary as therapists, being like, putting myself out there, what will I post?
Yeah, I would show them my stuff. Like I'm very good to share every resource that I have. I would showcase, like my business cards are very basic. I think less is more, right? For everything. You know, we can get too caught up in language and fancy bits and bobs. We don't need that. Free websites, like, you know, are there for people who can't afford it. You're never going to be able to afford it if you're doing this on your own at the start. So put a free page together. We can talk through it. I can showcase you kind of the ones that like work, that will just give you the profile. And then, you know, everybody knows somebody who's good at IT, be it your nephew, your kids, or your neighbor, or your friend. You don't need massive tech savvy to put the basic together. If you're really not social media comfortable, then you know what? Maybe that's not the road for you. If you're not going to be posting to it or doing it, like, so every sense isn't the best sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
If it's going to be hit and miss or putting up random things for no reason, possibly it's not for you, and that's okay too. But it is a platform that you're missing. But like, I know people we're not tech savvy, but they got somebody else to do it, as in a friend. Everyone knows someone tech savvy, and it wouldn't take them 5 minutes to set it up, and then, you know, create a couple of posts on Canva for them or something like that, and then like try build some sort of profile. It is a scary concept to start out. And it is daunting. But I can't emphasize enough, like your supervisor said, have not necessarily even a website, but something that links you to know who you are. So like that, getting a pin dropped in Google Maps is so simple. You literally go onto Google Maps, you know, you like put in an address, even if it's like the field beside your house that you don't want necessarily the house, or if it's a centre or something, and pop a pin and then write in it, it says add business. Pop in your details. And then like you get, a postcard comes out to that address, and you just have to put in a code that verifies it. All that is then is somebody looks up your name, looks up something about you, then there is a space there.
Yeah.
You know, and you could put your Facebook page or your Instagram page or your free website connected to it. When somebody looks it up, they see it and they see you, and they're like, okay, that's who it is. That's who this person is. And I say, it doesn't even have to be massive information. Put up your name, your qualifications, and your phone number.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Link to a website or page if you have one.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, you know, so people are like, okay, they're a real person. Because that would be all of our fears. You know? And it's the first thing everybody does. Even if, like, I'm going to Wicklow in a few weeks to a friend, and she messaged me yesterday going, ooh, we're after booking this kind of wine bar. And I was like, what's the name? I want to look it up. And it was the first thing I did.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity. So that's what we do, you know? And if it didn't have that, I'd be like, oh, disappointed.
Never heard of it, can't find it, doesn't exist on Google.
Yeah. Is that great?
Yeah.
I just think it's important to have a presence in some way so that people can connect with you.
That's what I'm hoping to build a little bit with this.
Yes.
A space where people can come and talk about themselves, what they do, what they went through, and promote themselves.
Yeah.
What do you think, if anything, is missing in the training that therapists receive? Is there anything that they're trying to get afterwards?
I hear a lot of people talking about like the setting up a practice.
Okay.
How to do that. I hear a lot of people talking about that. But I suppose academically, like your course isn't about covering how you set up afterwards. That's like your course would be about like academically, do you meet the QQI regulations to pass? You know, the setting up of a practice is different. You know, because not everyone will do that. Other people are hired into jobs, or they're doing it as part of their role. Maybe as an elective in a course, it would be useful. I can't say I missed anything. Or don't feel like I missed anything in my training. Like, we had amazing lectures. Like, I mean, still to this day, things that they said, like, it's just here. And I'm like, my God, these people are geniuses. And I'm always there going, I wish I knew some of the people who were their clients, because I'm there going, you're so lucky, you know, to have them as therapists. I know you're kind of left to your own devices afterwards, but I think a lot of courses are the same. You know, you finish college and it's like, what do we do now? That's up to you to kind of figure out. I don't mean that in a nasty way, but it is a self-exploration. What do you want? Where do you want to go with this? You know, I think there's definitely more need for conferences, I think, so people can meet, you know, and I know definitely with APCB we're talking about doing something like that next year for in-person, you know, CPD training, guest speakers,
networking,
meeting, like that's big missing, because we work a lot on our own. So, you know, connecting with others, I think that's something like that all organizations should do more than maybe once a year. You know, and even the ones that do it once a year, like, you may not always be free, or you know, so like I remember just in other jobs that I've done, like especially with the mental health, we used to do stuff all the time, and it was great crack. Like, to meet up with people, to have the chats, to connect, you know, like get to know people. It's actually where a lot of my referrals came from as well.
Nice.
When I met other therapists in person at CPDs, and even though we had spoken to each other via social media or whatever, you know, then when we connected and they were like, now that I've met you, I'm going to be sending you a few referrals. It was just a face-to-face thing. So I was there going, that's missing as well, I think. But that's not part of your training.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, like what next after college. I'm not sure if it needs to be included. I know a lot of people think it should, but when you look at the educational standards, it would have to be elective, I think.
Maybe, or just like a little booklet, a little brochure, saying like, these are the 5 steps you may consider if you decide to continue on with your practice. You can use these resources like Canva, like something, like here is the websites that are for free, they are paid, or somebody who we know who can do a website. I think kind of maybe in some guidance could be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen, but...
Yeah, I know.
I know it sounds terrible, but like, it is a piece, but like, I think that's part of supervision.
Yeah, I can see that being there.
Because it is what I do, with people. I would 100% go through all that. So I know not every supervisor would, but I would blend that in. Like, so I talk to my supervisees, just say we're students, when they've about 60 of their 100 hours in their second year done, I'd be kind of going, okay, what's next? What are we looking at afterwards? So when you've got your hours done, what are we planning? When the course is over, what are we doing?
I would like that. If that have happened to me, I think I would be happy going through that. But it wasn't my experience, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With my supervisor at the time.
So like, and I'd even kind of go as far as saying, right, you're nearing your end of your 100 hours now. Like, what are we doing? What's the next step? What's the path? What's the plan? And nearly setting them up if they're moving from me to somebody else. Going, well, put your thinking cap on. Like, what is it that you want? And I actually, for a lot of people, I would ask that on the first session that I meet them. What do you hope to do at the end when you're finished college? Do you know what your plan is?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is you want to do?
What do you hear often back? Would they often be like, oh, I have no idea? Or is it oftentimes like, yeah, this is what I want to do?
It's 50-50. So you would have a lot of like private practice, this is what I want to do. I'd like to do this part-time, that part-time, da-da-da. And I was like, okay, well, you have something to work towards. And then I'm automatically thinking, you need to start making your connections now. So like, I have one girl specifically who's doing the youth studies stream. She's going into 4th year, and I have her this summer going out to connections in the community because she does want to do this as a practice when she finishes. So I was like, going to make the connections now, because everything is slow when you start, as you know. So you're not going to come out of college, finish 4th year, have my summer holidays, I'm ready now in September and everything's going to take off.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. So it's like, you need to tell people, right, around this time of year, I'll get back in touch again and, start linking in with groups or schools or community groups or anything, whatever it is. Like, so we're automatically thinking now a year ahead.
Yeah.
And what she's doing now, going into 4th year, to work towards helping her when she finishes.
Planning the steps.
Yeah. I think it's a piece that it can be utilised in supervision. But not everyone's going to be the same as me, unfortunately.
What would people should be looking for when they're looking for a supervisor?
No different to... What would I be looking for?
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't make faces at me. Look, somebody that you can be honest with. You need to be comfortable to say, I messed up, even though I don't ever think anyone messes up, but those are the words we use ourselves, to tell me the good and the bad and the ugly, to not be afraid of bringing anything to supervision, having that relationship that it's honest, it flows well, that you trust each other, and that you get along. You have to get along, and it's no different than, I think, a client looking for a therapist. You have to have that honesty, you have to have that trust, you have to get on with that person, and not be afraid to bring anything. So I even actually have a drafted email for people when I'm referring them on, I would say to them for clients, and I would say, ring around these people, talk to them, ask them, what way they work. I was like, they're used to this. Make sure you connect with who you're going to work with. So don't be afraid to ring around a few people and say, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And the same with supervision. Like, don't pounce on the first one that's available. Have your phone calls. Like, I had a new person I took on there recently, and she said, can we do a Zoom because I want to see, do we connect?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, fine. So we did. Just do what you need. Like, know what your needs are. Know what, like, your specific requirements are going to be. If you don't know, like, spend some time kind of sitting there going, what have I had? What did I like? What didn't I like? And go from there. Don't be afraid to ask a supervisor, what way do you work? What are your views on this, that, or the other thing? And then just change if you don't like it. There's nothing stopping you kind of going, oh, I've worked with you for 4 months. Not my vibe, really. Going to go somewhere else. Okay. Best of luck with it.
That was my next question also. How would you compare the same process for clients looking for therapists? But you kind of partially answered. Yeah.
Exact same thing. I do. I really believe that, and I have it in my contract even on the first session with the client, that if it's outside of my scope of practice or if we don't gel, don't be afraid to say to me, oh, this isn't working for me. And I will happily hand you over more numbers.
Yeah. That's nice.
of other therapists, because I cannot be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
That's not possible. And if we think that we can, we're living in a different universe, because you can't gel with everybody, and
but you also specialize. I'm kind of probably specialize in certain areas.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So it's just knowing, what you're comfortable with, and what's your scope of practice. Like, knowing what you could potentially have, like, your transference and counter-transference with, and kind of going, okay, like, maybe it's not best for me or them if I work with this cohort. And I think sometimes that's discouraged in our training of like, oh, all clients, everyone comes with a blank slate, no judgment. But we all have areas that we judge on because we have experience, lived experience of something, so again, it's not realistic. And I think sometimes you don't know until you try or you're in it, and you learn from that, and okay, we know that now. Move forward. Don't beat yourself up over it.
And don't try to stay with a client who you feel you don't have anything to provide with.
Yeah.
And even if you check with them, this is what you want, well, I don't know how to do it, I'm not trained.
Yeah.
Why would you do it to yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maria, you've taken up lecturing recently. Tell me more about that.
So this is another thing that fell on my lap. I kind of fell into. It's interesting. Last summer, I was meeting up with, we have a group of peer supervisors, right? So the kind of gang that I was in college with doing the supervision course. And I just was chatting, and I was there going, I feel like I'm ready for another string to my bow. I feel like I need another kind of area or something, and I don't know what that is. And I'm kidding you not. 2 weeks later, my supervisor, I told you, like, he's my, king cheerleader. He sends me a message and says, Maria, I've given your name to ICAS for lecturing.
Wow.
You're going to get a phone call in about 10 minutes. And I was with my friend at lunch, and I was thinking, okay, I don't know how I feel about this. So I got the call, and it was a voicemail, and I returned the call, and like I knew Marie from ICAS going back, and we're just chatting away anyway, and she was telling me that they had rang my supervisor to do it, and he was there going, nope, but here's a lady who will.
I know.
Yeah. So I was there going, oh God. And like, he'd be like, again, in the message going, you will nail this. This is absolutely up your street. You would be brilliant at it. And I was there going, I'm glad he thinks so. Because I was like,
somebody does.
Yeah. I was like, oh no. I just kind of went, Marie was really informal. I thought I was having an interview then the following week, and I was all palpitations and, oh my God, what am I going to do? And what do I know? And blah, blah. So as it transpires, it was just an actual like chat with the director of the college. Marie was there as well, and me. And they were just running through the module and what it would be. And then they were like, so are you okay with that? Will we sign you up? And I was there going, okay. I hadn't a clue. Genuinely, I was there going, oh my God, they nearly lost the run of it.
What was the feeling of receiving the text from your supervisor, knowing he believes in you so much that he passed your name to them and that a phone call is about to come in?
Oh, look, I was so on cloud nine, there's that kind of nerve, and then I'm absolutely petrified. And then there was this like, this is the string, that I was looking for. And then
Did it feel like that's what it is? Did it feel like in that moment, or was it maybe too soon?
It kind of felt like it in the moment, but then the fear kicked in. And
Fear of?
Something different. No different to this. Like, it was like, you were contacting me and I was like, oh, I don't know. Because new, anything that's new and different, even though you want to do it, I was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then I went, do you know what? Just do it. And I kind of always go, practice what you bloody preach, Maria. Like, you're forever sitting there with people, be it clients or supervisees, talking about what they're capable of, what they can do. I was like, try. So I was like, okay, I'll give this a go. And like, to be fair, the college were amazing because it was short notice, and Dr. Jane Alexander is the director. Like, she was there going, look, you just need to go 1 week in advance. If you need me, I will help you create this. Don't worry about it. Real confident about it. And I was there going, okay. And they were like, for God's sake, Maria, you could do this in your sleep. Like, you have all these courses behind you.
Yeah.
I started creating the content, and that was the hardest part, so they sent me all the stuff for the college, and, like the learning outcomes that needed to be covered. And that was really difficult, trying to kind of figure that out and get into that space of a new thing under a short time frame. I'm somebody who I would have ideally liked it all done before I'd even started. But I didn't have time to do it that way because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and that way I was outlining, everything, and then I needed to make it all look pretty and, all those kind of things. I did the best I could, and I was really nervous, but in my true self on the first session, I named that with everyone.
With the students.
Yep, I told them all, because these are all adults, and because it's supervision, it's clinical supervision in professional practice, so it's not just for therapists. So there was nurses, there's social workers, there's psychotherapists, there's a mix of backgrounds in there.
Was it a big class?
I think there was 17 in it, but the previous years it had been 8 or so. I was like, okay, bigger than what I expected. But it was okay. It means how you deliver it would be a little bit different. If the group was small, I wouldn't have needed to do breakout rooms. You could have done all the stuff as one.
Yeah.
So it was just learning the layouts or whatever. But like that, in the very first session, I told them this was new to me, and I told them this was my first time doing it. So to bear with me, and I kind of gave a little spiel about who I am and what my background was, and then let them all do that. And then that took up an hour, because there was so many. But I think it was really important, because for supervision, you need to know where people are coming from, and you need to know their backgrounds, because especially when it's in professional practice, like that, a social worker doing his kind of stuff would be very different to a therapist in client setting, so because they have teams and they have, way more resources, or nurses, so their way of working is quite specialized or whatever. So for me, it was really important to know who was who and where were they coming from and what it was like. And then, I just kind of went with the pieces that I knew I needed to cover. I'm not a very overly academic speak person, so I don't use terminology when I don't need to.
Okay.
I find it off-putting for myself, and I think for learners as well. So I will always keep things in layman's terms as much as I possibly can. I see things that people post on social media, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because it's geared at other therapists, and it's like, if I'm a client, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So I want everything to be simple. I want people to understand. I'm not here to pretend I know everything about clinical supervision, but I'm here to show you the pieces that I know you need to cover. And if I don't know it, I'll go find out, and we'll come back to it in the next week or after break or whatever. I just kept that in my head that, I've told them I don't know everything. So if they ask me a question, because I think that's the biggest fear in most things, if I'm asked something that I don't know how to answer, I'm going to look like a fool. Then the practical piece of me came in and I'm there going, but you can't know everything. How are you possibly going to know every single thing that people ask? And look, to be fair, in the 8 weeks of the course, or the 8 classes, there was only one question that was thrown at me, and it was a legal question, and I didn't really know the answer. I kind of thought I knew it, but I wasn't 1,000% sure. So, I looked it up at the break, and I said to them, I may know, but I want to double check it because it was a legal thing.
Yeah.
It was something, and I was there going, I'm not going to be giving advice about a legal thing without checking that out. But so you know what I mean. It's daunting, but it's rewarding, and I always come off buzzing, and I can never sleep the night after it.
And it's rewarding in a way of you feel buzzed.
High as a kite after it. It's just a feeling of elation. I've done something, I've achieved something that was new, different, and comfortable. And I kind of, it reminds me then of what clients are feeling like, or even supervisees, when they go through these firsts with clients, and they're going, this is the feeling, this is the joy of pushing past the uncomfort, feeling the fear and doing it anyway,
And stepping into your own thing.
Yeah.
That you like.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm due back now in October. So I've got my dates. So I don't know how many are in it this year yet. I won't know that for another while, I'd say. So we'll see how it goes again.
And I wonder, because you actually have done your bachelor in ICAS and also your master's in CBT, and then you step into the lecturer's chair. What was it like, the transition? Was it kind of anyhow different being now in the same college where I was learning, now I'm teaching there? Yeah,
a bit imposter syndrome again. The biggest one was when I started going to faculty board meetings, because then I'm sitting around with the lecturers that lectured me.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, I didn't say anything.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't actually speak, at them, because these were all over Zoom. And I have another one actually, is it next week or the week after? And again, I don't know if I'm comfortable enough yet to speak up, because I again don't feel like I know enough to share enough, and that's my piece. And I know that that's my insecurity, and I know that that's my stuff to work through, and I will. Anything that's new, I'm like this, I'm quiet. You don't think about listening to me talk, but I would be quite. I'll just go into the background and sit back here and see what happens. And then the more confident I become in those roles, the more I will talk up, and the more, I will give feedback or offer information or things like that. So I just need to find my feet a little bit. And I did look for feedback, from the first module that I thought. I said, could you give me some feedback on it? Because, the way students fill out feedback forms.
Yeah.
But only one filled it out. And it was positive. It was very positive, the one that came. So, but I was hoping to maybe learn something from it, and kind of going, even if it was bad, I would learn what to do, going forward.
Where you can improve.
Yeah. Because, this is new, and I need to be aware that, you can't nail it first time. So it'd be very strange if I did. It'll be interesting to see how it flows the next time, because I won't have that extra pressure of writing the program again. Because that's done now. So it might be much more relaxed delivery this time. But we'll see.
And now I'm wondering about the whole journey, right? You going through the bachelor, then the master, and experiencing maybe a bit unpleasant supervision, as we discussed in previous episode, right? And then you teaching supervision. If you remember back to the version of you who had that unpleasant experience, what would you tell her? If there was anything to tell.
God, I definitely, the minute you were starting that, I was there going, I wouldn't even have imagined then that I'd be where I am now. Not in a million years, because I said to you, I was ready to quit. And deflecting a little bit, but when I went into the supervision course, a lot of my presentations and posters and all those kind of things, they all ended up being based around power in the supervisory relationship.
Oh.
I really I wanted it so much to be focus, you know. I got really intensely into it because it was just so evident. And the more I was learning, the more I was like, this really needs to be highlighted.
The disbalance.
Yeah. And how that shouldn't be there. Especially when I'm working with students now, I make sure that I highlight that this, as much as you may see me as, you know, a higher power because of the dynamic, I was like, this is not what this is, you know, and this is never going to be what it is as far as I'm concerned. So I get rid of that straight away.
Yeah.
But if I could talk to her now, I don't know, I think I would just be... I think I would say to her, I'm proud that she stuck it out. Proud that, you know, she kept going.
Yeah.
Through all that, you know, and that didn't allow me stop. And again, life will throw hurdles and things, and it made me 10 times better now at what I do. So, you know, everything does happen for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and
you were so close quitting because of that awful experience.
Yeah, it was done.
You wouldn't be teaching.
No.
You wouldn't have that many supervisees who have their clients. It's just...
Yeah. Like I supervise over 40 people now on my books, and I love that there is 40 people that don't experience that. And I know that because I would never do that. Everything happens for a reason. Embrace it, but learn to stick out the hard times as well, maybe. Because, you know, being strong enough will give you good times. Push through, you know. But also if I could backtrack, I wish I ran quicker. I wish I left her much, much quicker. I wish I didn't stay. I wish I didn't allow that experience to be a whole year, academic year.
Would you address it with her?
No. I know that's unrealistic for me to say that I would. I wish I was strong enough to. Even if I met her now, I don't think I'd address it with her.
I'm not saying that you should, but...
No, I know, yeah. But I don't think I would. I experienced something really strange last year when I was talking to my peer supervisees about this experience. And they asked me what her name was, and I couldn't remember. I think I blocked it out. I think and like even her visual, like I was with this woman for a year.
Yeah.
I actually think I've blocked it completely out of my brain because it was just too hard.
Too much.
Yeah. And I didn't even realise that until it came into a conversation. And I was just like, oh God, I actually didn't know, and I had to go searching and...
Find out again.
Yeah. You know, I'm kind of a bit like, that chapter's closed, it's done now. But it has definitely made me who I am in the supervisory space.
I can see that. I can see how it informed you.
Yeah.
About how you want to be as a therapist, but also as a supervisor.
Yeah.
You supervise these, and also as a teacher of supervisors.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I keep emphasizing that you don't know everything. You'll never know everything. And owning that I don't know everything. Because with that person, I felt stupid when I didn't know. You know, and I used to get this. Just write it down. Now they're gone. Okay, I'm supposed to know it all.
Wow. Is there anything else you would bring up here that we could discuss, or do you think it's...
No, I think I'm all talked out.
Yeah. So, let me just wrap it up. This is brilliant, by the way. This is just like so... Wow. Maria, again, before I let you go, before we finish for today, if anybody wants to work with you as a client or a supervisee, where can they find you?
So my website is mariagleeson.com. Instagram, Facebook, Maria Gleeson, CBT Psychotherapist. I'm on Google. So through Clonmel, Maria Gleeson Clonmel, you'll find me there as well. There's APCP's website, Supervisions Association of Ireland's website. So I'm a little bit everywhere with my associations. But yeah, my website I think is the best one, mariagleeson.com.
Thank you for sharing your journey with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Hello. That's fine. And if we can get you to do a sound check.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Maybe a tiny bit closer, tiny bit.
This?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely. How does it sound to you?
Right.
Yeah,
Go with the flow.
Lovely. So I'll just do my opening line again. Hello, everybody. Now, I just forgot the line. It's just my feel. Like, imagine if you go home and I find out that one of those died in the middle. And I'll be like, oh, how do I tell Maria? Like, oh, God,
we just do it again.
We have half of it now. Like, yeah. Or just you like saying stuff, but me not having it on.
Yeah.
On the mic. Like, what did she say? So, which one is this? Yay! Finished. Wow. 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 That was nice. That was lovely. I don't think